to episode 34 of In Touch with iOS, a podcast for sharing tips, apps, and gear for iPhone and iPad, along with related technologies that get us using iOS in a fun, productive, and meaningful way. I am your host, Dave Ginsburg, and joining me as always is Melissa Davis. How are you doing, Melissa?
Hey, doing good. I'm excited about all this stuff.
Yeah, there was quite an event that happened yesterday as we record this, and there was a lot of news, a lot of crazy stuff that was announced. I don't know if it's crazy, but it was fun anyway, and we'll definitely get deep into it as far as what was announced, what was not announced. But anything that we focus on related to iPhone or iPad or iOS, I think we were happy with. Well, not necessarily iPad, but
yeah, I wasn't too disappointed. I mean, I was hoping for a Mac Mini, but it didn't happen. I'm sure they have their reasons.
Who knows? It could be during the next event. So that I'm sure they're going to have, and they usually have one was it October, November? Usually depends. On when that happens. So
we're kind of set for Christmas now. Basically, we're set for the holidays. Everybody's got something they can. I mean, they just did release a new iPad not long ago, so I wasn't expecting another iPad, but. I like to call this thing the Apple Bowl. Like when I try to explain to my husband and I'm excited about it, I'm like, and he's not that much of a sports fan either. So I know you're a real sports fan, but right. I'm not. But this is like my sports. Like this is my Super Bowl. I could really care less about the Super Bowl and all kinds of stuff, but when it comes to this, it's kind of become a tradition. And I am not known to be like a real fangirl. Like I'm very kind of critical of Apple, but I do enjoy watching these things. And then, like I was telling you before, it's kind of become a mother-son tradition. So I watched it again with Lucian last night, and that was really cool. He was really excited about stuff.
Yeah, I just finished doing the reaction type episode on For Mac Guys Only. We had a lot of fun. Mike Potter, myself, and Eric Erickson, and there was a lot to react to. And
did you guys all watch it live? Were you in sync?
Yes.
And did somebody watch the Twitter feed? And
yep, I was watching the Twitter feeds, and we primarily used actually The Verge. They seem like they had a pretty good blog coverage, but you know what? This time, of course, me always following the rumor sites. The rumor sites were right, 100%.
See, I was going to say I have decided that moving forward, I am starting with this one. I did not read any of the rumor sites this time around. I poked around at them in the times past, and I've just learned that, I either end up disappointed or I kind of want to be surprised. So the Apple Bowl, as I'm calling it, is kind of like, Game of Thrones, no spoilers. I just stay off of the interwebs as much as I can, and I try not to get sucked into it, and I just don't, I will read things like the buying guide from Mac Rumors. I mean, I think that's a really good reference, and I will read those kinds of things because, as a consultant, it is part of my job when people ask me, what should I buy? What should I get? And I'll tell them, whether or not I think they should wait or, so I will dip in to the rumors a little bit, but I just don't allow myself to get too carried away from, and I don't allow it to really disappoint myself either. So I try to take it with a grain of salt. But that being said, I think Apple eats a little bit of humble pie in their opening film for their Gather Round event. I thought that was pretty cool. They did a spoof on Mission Impossible.
Yeah,
it was really neat. I put a link to it in the show notes. There's links to all kinds of stuff. Our show notes.
They already actually posted the whole event on YouTube, and they hadn't done that before. You'd always have to wait, or watch on their site, or so they're. I mean, the other thing they did for the first time this year was they actually streamed it live on Twitter. Because Twitter's now allowing.
Next. Yeah, they got it live on Twitter. They've got it going direct to YouTube. They're really making it available. They're really treating it like a really special event. And I have to say, I think this was probably one of the most polished, pun intended, events. They had that shiny stage. I was a little distracted by all of the white footwear that I saw.
No.
Very, very.
I don't get distracted, but I didn't.
It's become. They're really into the fashion world now, and I'm coming from a very fashion challenged person, even I can notice that, things are definitely polished as far as you still see blue jeans, but, like even Tim Cook was wearing beige, not even cargo pants, like skinny jeans that were beige, and, gone are everybody in blue jeans kind of look. So I've noticed that is a distraction. There's definitely, you can tell everybody's got this tailored look, because they were announcing the Apple Watch. So they had to make sure everybody's sleeves were pulled up or trimmed up. I mean, it was very, very intentional, definitely very deliberate. I have a kid who's in middle school now, and they're starting to learn about presentation. So I point things like that out to him, and I'm like,
Sure.
notice how people are dressed, and notice how people carry themselves, and how many times they walk back and forth across the stage, and their positioning, and making sure that they're not occluding some big text on the screen. And it was all about. I loved the opening film. It was all about the clicker. It was just this really cool Mission Impossible spoof. And I won't spoil it too much for people. I put a link to it in the show notes.
No,
but
everybody knows about it at this point. Come on.
You got to go watch it. It's a really cute little thing that they did. I thought it was really well done. I thought there were some really funny little Easter eggs or little digs on how, she asked Apple, hey, phone lady, it was on the watch. Hey, watch lady, what's the fastest way to the Steve Jobs Theater? And of course, like she ended up, running through water and having to go through all the stuff. And in my mind, I was thinking, it's typical of Apple Maps. I've been there, done that before.
Yeah. No.
But,
yeah. I mean,
come on, we have to laugh at ourselves. We have to, dig at it. And then, they have the suitcase. Like, what's in the suitcase? Is it going to be, a super secret product? Of course, they
That's
know.
what I thought because of all the rumors. I thought that maybe they put the iPhone in there just to think that this was really a secret, wasn't it? And no, it wasn't.
I thought it was funny. I think that they were kind of like being humble. They were laughing at themselves, that hey, all these things have leaked, and all these rumors, and we can't keep things secret anymore. So we've got to have something that's secret. So let it be the clicker. So I thought that was pretty cool.
But they're pretty excited about the Apple Watch, and I am too. I think that they've really been amazed, Apple in itself, of how amazingly popular it's become. You're going from the series 0, 1, 2, 3. Now we're in the 4th series.
Yeah, and how many years? I mean, it's been 3 years, maybe
three short years, and it's really
4
come a long way.
Different designs in 3 short years. I also wanted to point out that I because I'm an art major, I studied all this kind of stuff. I wanted to point out that I thought it was really, really nice. Like I said, it was very polished, very well designed event. Yeah. Everything really went off without a hitch. And I loved how the opening graphic was that beautiful rose gold circle. And then what was nice is like all throughout the presentation, they kept showing this circle design. It was like everything was coming full circle, and I even had to show my son. I was like, look, there's the circle when they debuted the Series 4 Apple Watch, because now they changed the backing of it. It's now, you have a Series 3, so maybe you can tell me, what does the Series 3 look like on the back? Is it that much different? Is the Series 4 now with the complete circle? It doesn't have...
It's obviously hard. It's obviously hard to see just through photos, but it definitely looks different if you look at the images of the back of the watch. So, let's dig into the Apple Watch and what they really announced. I think the biggest thing that stood out, and they talked about it, was the biggest thing is health. I mean, health is really become just the de facto thing that the Apple Watch can do, and a lot of people are liking it. It was a big, huge thing that they now have the EKG and ECGs available to monitor your heart rates. The FDA approved what they can do, which is huge.
That is really huge.
It was really huge. So I mean that in itself is just a great thing that they were able to get going there. Definitely the actual size of the screen itself. I was worried that, and I think a lot of people were worried, because we all have a big collection of bands, and and then they didn't change anything as far as the size of the watch, but the face has changed. But they did change the face to be 2 millimeters more larger in size. So the 38 is now a 40, and then the 42 is now a 44 millimeter. That was that doesn't seem to bother me too much. You look at the pictures, and you saw it on during the event. It's just pretty awesome.
I'm excited about those new watch faces and how much more information you can cram in there. The complications. Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, they added all the new complications. And they've got all the different watches that were out there again, and they put ceramic on a lot of the back of the watch, so it's going to be a little more durable and to handle a lot of what this can do. Still the advanced watches too. If you want the Nike band, you can get the Nike. You still have the Hermes available for those who like to spend a little extra money and have a nice watch. and they've got some new fresh bands. It looks like they've added. So and it's
the Nike band they
great.
added reflective yarn. I thought that was a really smart thing to do.
Yeah. So when people are out running, they're gonna be able to do that. So really, the other big thing that they did too is they're keeping the Series 3 in the line, which is great. So the GPS model will now start at $279 on the Series 3, and then the Series 4 will go to $399 on the base price, and then you can get the cellular for an extra $100 more. So that's pretty cool. Again, the display area is a little bigger. If you look at their website, they give you it's 977 square millimeters on the 44, the new one, and then the old one was 740. So it's a relatively big difference as far as that goes. Chips were changed a little bit. That's got an S4, so it's going to have about two times faster than the Series 3. And again, we talked about the electric heart sensor. It's built right in. Right. Well, it is not going to be available. It's in the digital
crown. You can actually, the digital crown now has haptic feedback. So when you turn it, it gives you a little bit of feedback as it clicks. I thought that was really, really sexy the way that they did that.
Yeah.
And the surface of it is now where you place your fingers to take you put your finger on it, and you can take an ECG, which is an electrocardiogram.
Right.
And then take those records to your doctor. I have to say, I just taught my husband about that because I had some health issues crop up recently, and it was something that I really wanted to pay more attention to my heart health. And I actually did enroll in that. I guess it's like a heart study or something, or you can enable so that it lets you know when your heart spikes above a certain level. And I did enable that. And it actually was really interesting because it did alert me when my heart rate went up above a certain level. And it was something that I thought was really, really helpful because then I could give that feedback back to my doctor. Right. And so I can really see how that would really help a lot of people. So now you can do an ECG right there on your watch. I love the way that they showed the graphic with the heart and all the little specks of color. I think they got that from, what is it called? The quick setup when you have a brand new phone and you raise it above your old phone. It's that similar kind of graphic. I thought that was really, really neat the way that they did that. So it kind of makes it, dare I say, fun to actually take care of your health.
And then that's really what it should have been. I mean, I was using a lot of this stuff. We share when we're doing walking. You get notifications from me when I meet my move goals, and that's kind of fun. But they've really extended it even further. The other interesting feature was pretty awesome was the fall feature where it actually
the fall detection.
It'll detect if someone falls, and I actually thought it was kind of scary. I mean, I think it's good, but I don't know. It'll initiate a SOS call into 911, and you have to tell it not to do that if you're okay.
That's gonna take a little bit of growing pains. I think.
I think so too. Yeah, I was a little concerned when I saw that. I'm like, oh, that is.
You know what? But they got to do it sometime. And now that they've got FDA approval, there were things like I said, I wasn't too disappointed. I was a little hoping that we were going to get the glucose sensor, and I was hoping that we were going to get the oxygen sensor. So as a person who has asthma and a person who has had diabetes, I understand just how important that is because I have other gizmos that I have to use to track that kind of stuff. And I know lots of people who do. But the fact that they got FDA approval really is very telling that could be coming to a new design very soon. I mean, look at just look at the progress that they've made just in 3 years' time. So it's just a matter of time. Pun intended. No. It's just a matter of time before we start seeing those features. And that's what I'm really looking forward to. So, looking at the long game here, I may consider if the sales are really good come Black Friday, if there's some sales on the Series 3, I'm considering upgrading to the 3 only for the simple fact that I have a Series 1 and it is getting long in the tooth. My husband has one also. Yeah. And it's not like I really need a new watch, but I'm thinking about the fact that my son really wants one and now's the time. Like if I don't upgrade soon and give him this hand-me-down, I want him to be able to get a little bit of use out of it. So I look at the hand-me-down value of things, as far as when I'm trying to decide when is the right time to upgrade. So lots of fantastic, beautiful. Oh my gosh, the videos that they do on the features and the close-ups are just, you think they can't get any better, and then they do. I mean, is it one big glorified infomercial? Of course it is. But wow, it's done really, really, really well. And I'm able to resist the reality distortion field. I don't know about you, but but they did a really good job of how
I'm going to be very honest this time because you know me, I'm always the early adopter. I mean, I've already got the iPhone pre-ordered.
Take one for the team.
I already got the iPhone pre-ordered, but we'll talk about that in a little bit here. But I think the watch, I'm going to sit tight for a while. I'm not going to do it right away. I've got the Series 3. So,
right, you got the Series 3. So yeah, you're not feeling it like I am. I'm really starting to feel the lag, and there's getting to be less and less that I can really do with it, and it's starting to get really frustrating. So hey, maybe watchOS 5 will give it some new life. We'll see. We're definitely looking forward to iOS 12 on just about everything. So we'll dig into that a little bit.
Good segue there to watchOS 5. I just updated to iOS 5 because I'm a beta tester, but it is the golden master release, so I feel confident that I wanted to install it because I know it's going to be the final version. So I went ahead and upgraded all my devices. So everything is on iOS 12 and everything is on and my watch is on watchOS 5. So
okay, so I got some questions for you then.
I mean, I just did it yesterday, so I haven't done a lot of. I haven't dug deep yet, but
then I have some homework for you. So I want to know is it limited to the Series 4? Will you be able to get any of the Earth, Wind, and Fire watch faces? Sorry, had to make the reference. It's hard to escape, but we've got the vapor and the breathe and the fire and the water. So do you think you'll be able to see any of those watch faces, or is that only reserved for the Series 4 because of maybe the processor, something like that? Maybe you can take a look at that. And then my second question for you to investigate is one of the new features is going to be raise to speak. And I know some people are really concerned about that because along with the fall detection, which we're kind of, I won't say worried about it. It's a concern. These things take some growing pains. People are gonna. Yes, they have tested it. That's a really good thing. But until these things really get out into the wild and people are really using them, we really get to see what it's made of. So I'm wondering about the raise to wake feature because, of course, that's something that I struggle with. I struggle with saying, "Hey, watch, lady," and it doesn't respond, and then I have to press the digital crown in, and then it takes forever. And so, like I said, I mean, those are one of the things where I'm really kind of feeling it, that it's a little long in the tooth as far as that goes. So are we going to have to kind of, maybe learn a little bit of a muscle memory? I mean, I thought it was cute that they did the whole hokey pokey thing. So I guess we're going to have to learn how to do the hokey pokey and put your left arm out and raise it up. And so my question is, are you going to be able to turn that off if you just can't seem to figure out the hokey pokey and how you're supposed to turn yourself around and be able to speak into the thing in the time that's needed?
Yeah, I'll have to check on that. That'll have to check into the faces. No, you are not going to get those faces on the Series 3.
They are exclusive to the Series 4.
Exclusive to Series 4.
Okay.
They did add some new faces. The kaleidoscope is new.
Oh, well, that was released in the last one. We've had kaleidoscope for a little while.
They said that was new, so that's why I was looking at.
Maybe it's a new version of it, but we've had it. I mean, I played around with it, but it didn't really interest me all that much. I mean, it's a cool thing to play with. That's okay. So we've got breathe. There's a couple of different breathe faces that you can use. We get the little flower petals, but they had really nice one, looked like bokeh, and that was really cool. And the vapor. So that sounds like those are exclusive, and then you're gonna report back on the status of whether or not you can disable raise to speak, because that might really annoy a lot of people if they don't know what that is or how to use it appropriately. So we'll investigate that and report back on that. I am happy to say that the watchOS 5 it's coming on the 17th, and it is available on all the models except for the Series 0. That's the only one that got chopped off. So even I get to install it on my Series 1. I thought that was pretty cool.
And then the other thing they did add is the walkie-talkie service, the feature that is enabled on, I think, all phones, all watches, excuse me. So you will have that capability as well. They demonstrated that, of course, during WWDC earlier this year.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I think my husband and I will get some use out of that now that we no longer have babies that we're going to wake up.
Yeah. So the Siri does seem to be improved. I haven't, again, like I said, I did not mess with the beta while it was in beta on the watch, so I didn't have a lot of time spent with it. So, but I've noticed already the notifications are better. They're a lot easier to work with, and I've even noticed that in iOS 12. So, it definitely seems a lot more stable. But yeah, I'll have to dig into this a little deeper, and we'll report it on the next episode. But the workout updates, they've added a few more workouts, including hiking and yoga.
I'm looking forward to yoga. I don't know how much I'll be able to take advantage of that on a series 1. Like I said, it might not be.
Right.
I'm not gonna. Obviously, I don't think I'm gonna have the automatic workouts. I don't know. Maybe I am, but I don't know how well it works. So I'll have to report back on that. Because yoga is something that I've always thought, oh yeah, because that's about the only exercise type of form of exercise that I'm really interested in doing more, especially with my body that doesn't want to cooperate. So I'm interested in that. I'm looking forward to that.
Actually, you did put a link in the show notes about the 4 new faces that are coming to existing watches. It did show the new faces below, so they don't look as different. They're not all the kaleidoscope. They look a little different, but again, they're not what the faces you're wanting from the
right.
From the Series 4.
Paper,
so yeah, we do have a link in the show notes about that one.
Yeah,
so.
I also put regarding the Apple Watch. I did put a link in the show notes for all the different features. There was a whole, you have to scroll through. It's very beautifully designed and everything. But then there was another feature availability listing that talked about specific features that if you are interested in, so we can drill down to that. And then I also put a link to their shopping page. I always think that these are fun because, like I said, as a consultant and as a person who buys these things, I really love to go in there and like slice it and dice it and try to figure out, which model do I want with which configuration. And, I did a lot of work in the show notes, and I was really trying to, because I know people are going to ask me these questions, my family, my clients, they always ask me these questions. Well, what model should I get? What will best suit my needs? And so this way I've kind of broken it down to, well, for $30 more, you get 4 more millimeters. For $100 more, you get the cellular, so you can leave your phone at home. For an extra $250, we'll talk about that with the iPhone. So you can see what is it that what's the base, what's the bare minimum, and then how much extra are you going to spend, and what sorts of value do you get for that price. So we'll talk about that in a little bit in a few more minutes, but I just wanted to point people to that they do have these really great shopping pages where you can filter things, and
well, you won't be going there right now because the store's down. Because
is it really
getting ready for pre-orders? Pre-orders are at midnight Pacific.
Good thing I got the show notes done before we recorded, because I was in there clicking on stuff and switching stuff around and testing it out.
You can go to the comparison of models. So, but let's we got a lot to talk about here and a little time to talk about it. So let's move right on to the iPhone. Yep. I was not surprised what was announced, because everything got leaked, and somebody, I guess whoever works at Apple, to put the XML code for the website showing all the proper product names, and everybody knew what it was called. So you have 3 models. You have the XS and XS. I mean, like, that's what
I know. We gotta
get
used to
I think we've already got a show title, XS, the iPhone event.
You mean like XS as in EXCESS?
Excess price.
Okay.
And so they have the iPhone XS, and they have, or I should say, the 10s. It's really 10.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking. What do you say your name?
But people are saying XS. So you have the 10s Max.
I don't want to contribute to that.
No. They have the 10s Max, which
yes, and the 10s Max.
I'm going with the 10. I am going to be buying the 10s Max.
Yeah, you're going for the big one, right?
Got it on reserve. Just got to make the purchase through the iPhone upgrade program. And then they have another interesting one, which we'll talk a little bit more about, is the XR, which is the one that's got the liquid Retina display, and it's a 6.1 inch screen. The XS, or the 10s, is a 5.8, which is basically it's the replacement for the 10. Yeah. So the 10 that I currently have it's just exactly, so they're really, if you have a 10 and you're not looking to go any further, you like the size of the 10. I don't see much of a real need to upgrade on this one. But you do have other capabilities with size. We'll talk about that in a second here. But then if you move over to the Max is a 6.5 inch screen, which is crazy. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's almost close to being like an old iPad Mini.
It's
I
a
mean, as far as
fancy
size.
pants phablet is what it is.
Which is fine by me. That's what I
Right.
mean, I live on my iPhone. I love having a big display. I think a lot of the people I was on I said on a few of the podcasts I was on. We were talking on Mac Voices with Chuck Joyner, and he's going with a 10s because he likes the size.
Yep.
Well,
if I had the money to pull the trigger right now, that's what I would get. I would get the SX. I mean the
10s.
You got me doing it. The 10s. Stop it. I would do the 10s because I really do. Like I said, if I had the money, but then again, like we're going to talk about, then we have the XR. Or the 10R, I should say.
Let's
the 10,
go a little...
the 10R. Yeah, let's dig into that. That's we have a theory. I was recording with my other friends over on Geekiest Show Ever, and Elisa said she thinks the R stands for regular, and I would tend to agree. I think that they've put this in as, I'll call it the quote unquote budget model. I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to give somebody like like an entry level, even though in reality, if you're really, really going to crunch the numbers, the entry level iPhone is still the 5 SE. That's like $349 for 32 gigabytes. It's cute.
Gone.
It's adorable. No, it's still available at resellers. It's still supported.
It's still supported, but it's not. I mean, to me,
I don't think they're going to get rid of it.
If Apple isn't selling it anymore, I mean, that's the only place you're going to be able to get it is resellers.
Yeah, but I think they're going to be selling it for quite a while because there's still a really large demographic. I see it all the time with my seniors. There's lots of people that still love that form factor, and
No, I understand. I just don't know how much supply is going to be left on these on the SE because it all depends on what they have left in their stock because Apple's not making them anymore. So it's going to be, that's going to be a little different. So,
well, we'll see what happens in the future, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do keep a smaller form factor around for the people who want that smaller. But, then that's what's going to happen over time is I think is the 10S is going to fill up that spot eventually. And that will become like the new sweet spot as people get used to these form factors. I'm kind of lusting after the 10S because as much as I really do love my 8 Plus. I did have to try. I told you before I had to scratch that itch. I wanted to see what life was going to be like on this big screen. And I do enjoy it, but just knowing that I could get the same amount of screen space, even a little bit more in a smaller package and a smaller form factor that could be pocketable again really makes me excited. So that's probably what I'll eye up the next time. But reality, I probably will end up going with the 10R. But, if we dig down into it, I mean, what are you really getting? There's a $250 difference. And I was what you're really getting is just a better camera, better display, 1 additional meter of water resistance, longer battery life, 3D touch versus haptic touch. But come on, let's be honest. I mean, how many people do you know that really, really love 3D touch? Right. That would be a deal breaker. I have to end up turning it off for some of my seniors because it really gets in their way. I love it. I mean, I use it all the time, but it's not going to be a deal breaker. And if they're going to replace it with haptic touch, which is, almost just as good, then I'm fine with, that's not a huge deal breaker for me. I'm certainly not going to pay $250 for it, but it's the combination of all the things that you get. And so when I really sat down and I really evaluated this stuff and I thought to myself, okay, what are you getting for that extra $250? Are you willing to pay for basically, you got to ask yourself, do you want a pocket computer that happens to make phone calls? Or do you want a pocket computer that's also got a really excellent camera? Like, are you buying a camera that makes phone calls? Or do you just want a really good phone that's a communication device that takes like decent pictures? That's I think those are the questions that a lot of people have got to ask themselves, especially families, things like that. Because that's what pushed me over the edge of getting the 8 Plus was because it had the dual camera. I really, really was looking at a camera that made phone calls that was also going to serve as a work device. And I got everything that I asked for. I really got a lot of good value out of this phone. And I think I would get the same, if not better value if I went for the 10S. But I can see how people would be like, that extra $250, I really am not that picky about my pictures, about my picture quality. If it's good enough to, maybe blow it up on a poster someday, I'm fine with that. I don't need all the extra special effects. If you're the type of person that is pretty careful about your phone and, let's say you do go for a dunk in the pool, you're going to be fine. But if you're like the type of person who is mountain climbing and going on all these adventures and taking lots of, landscape photography, or you're a bird watcher, if you're, going to be navigating the desert, you're probably going to want that extra additional of water resistance and protection that is provided in the 10S. So you've got to think about your needs, and really you're going to be paying that extra $250 for the ability, for the luxury of not having to carry an additional camera on you. Because, I mean, let's face it, that's what I did for the longest time, because I wasn't willing to spend the extra money. So I ended up carrying with me a phone and a digital camera because I was really picky about the camera. But then after a while, I was like, wait a minute, I can just spend maybe a little bit less combined total and only have to carry one device. So you have to really think about, what is that extra $250 getting you? And for a lot of people, that's going to pack a lot of value in one device. So that's I really thought about it, and that's the way that, because like I said, I mean, I'm a consultant, and my family members, people ask me my advice about these kinds of things, and that's what I'm going to be telling them. That I broke it down in our show notes, and so you'll be able to read about all that. But that's what I really kind of sliced it and diced it for when I am ready to take the plunge. I think I'm still going to lean towards. I think I'm going to pay the little bit of extra. I'm probably going to save up. It'll probably take me a while till I get it, but I'll probably save up and just rip off the Band-Aid. I really enjoyed that whole experience of just being able to buy it outright and not have to worry about extra payments, and it was unlocked, and it made exploring different SIM cards and stuff a little bit better. Hey, speaking of SIM cards, I was going to talk about the dual SIM.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that a little bit here. I've had the experience already of using what's called an eSIM. I used it in a Pixel 2 XL, and Google had come out with that technology with that phone for the exclusive use of using the Google Fi cellular service.
Okay.
Their service. It's it's called Google Fi, which it's like a carrier like a T-Mobile or AT&T. But the neat thing about the Google Fi is it actually camps on to whichever carrier it finds with the device that has the best signal.
Is that like roaming?
Kind of, but the thing is, what it is it'll go out and it'll look at the signal and say, okay, it looks like T-Mobile has better coverage where you are, so it'll just switch to T-Mobile.
It'll intelligently decide for you.
It intelligently decides, and it'll be transparent. You'll never know.
Nice.
Or it could be Verizon. It just varies in where you are. I think it's just Verizon and T-Mobile is what it uses those two carriers.
Is it gonna charge you extra? Like, is it gonna ping your bill at all?
Nope, it's all the same price.
So do we still have to worry about that? Like, do we have to keep that switch turned off, or is it okay to just keep that switch turned on for roaming?
This has absolutely nothing to do with roaming. This is purely your service, and I just wanted to give that example because obviously none of our listeners have Android devices. So, but really, what it is?
No, they might be on the fence, Dave. Come on.
Yeah. Okay. Right. What the eSIM really is it's an electronic version of a SIM. I mean, think about the SIM card that we've had for years. I mean, it's
the
like
little
the most
fingernail size thing.
The most primitive technology we've had for years with mobile devices, and really what it is, this chip is going to be built right into the phone, but you noticed when they mentioned it, it's not going to be available right away. It's going to be available later this year. So it really, I was wondering about this when I had the Pixel the Pixel 2 XL, because I know this is going to be quite a game changer with carriers. Do the carriers want these devices to have that? But I think yes, but I mean the one thing is you don't have to go to the carrier each time to go get a SIM card and actually pay for the SIM card. I mean, because the chip is already going to be built into the phone, and it can be changed and you can transfer over at any time.
For that.
Well, there's always there's a fee no matter what. I mean, but at least this time you don't have to go anywhere to do it. You'll be able to do that. So it is a dual.
It's already built into the cellular watch, though. I mean, we're kind of used to that now, aren't we?
Kind of, yeah.
It's the training wheels for
kind of.
Phones.
I mean, it's a lot of the carriers had to adapt to the cellular piece of the Apple Watch because they didn't have the technology in place. But
it kind of blazed the trail for it.
Yeah, and then so So having dual SIM will allow you to be able, like for those who travel overseas, let's say, and you have two SIMs, and a lot of the carriers would be able to take advantage of the eSIM, or you can just have the eSIM as your primary device and then have the nano SIM as one that you put in when you go to an international country like Italy or Europe or wherever.
But you don't have to keep popping it in and out, do you?
You can leave. I mean, well, in the case of traveling international, it varies because it depends on what carrier you use. But you could conceivably have two carriers on one phone if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's what it looked like when they demonstrated. I thought that was pretty savvy.
I mean, I've tried it with T-Mobile and with Google Fi, and both can be worked at the same time. All you have to do is toggle between the two, and it works. It works quite well. Another thing to talk about with wireless is with this eSIM, it is also going to take advantage of the 600 megahertz band. I don't know if you heard about that. T-Mobile is the only carrier right now that would take advantage of that, and then this gives the advantage with iPhones to have this when it's enabled. To give them the better coverage.
That LTE 5?
LTE 5, yes.
Okay, so yeah, I've heard about that. And I think you mentioned it last time that T-Mobile was the only one that was going for it just yet. It's been a slow rollout, I guess. But
now this phone is going to be already ready to go. John Legere, the CEO of T-Mobile, in fact, you can watch him on Instagram and Facebook, and they're pushing this hard, saying, "Hey, look, T-Mobile, this is the best iPhone ever," because it's going to take full advantage of everything that T-Mobile can do. So does
the Pixel not have that already?
No, it was a different band. It's definitely make a difference here. So, well, anyway, let's dig a little deeper in the phones before we run out of time here. I mean, we got some time left here, but
with the X, the clock, we get time. Come on, relax.
If you want to go after, it's fine. I will go a little over because there was a lot to talk about. But with the XR, I definitely see, I agree with you. A lot of the things that were talked about. You have the Face ID now. You have the A12 Bionic chip. I mean, everything else is true to the phone, with the only exceptions, like you said. I mean, you're not going to get a lot of these other advanced features. The camera itself is really going to be the game changer, and I think I agree with you 100%. If you love taking pictures, I would probably aim more towards the 10S because you're going to get just the.
You'll be happier.
You'll get incredible pictures, I'm telling you. And I was just thinking about this, and I even mentioned this on another podcast. I said that think about what Apple has really spent as far as time and energy, and iPhone it takes up 60% of their sales.
It's a camera that makes phone calls.
Yeah, I mean, how much resources they put into this device? This device replaced your camera. This device has your phone. This is an internet device. I mean, it just. All the things that it does and what they've done to make it evolve.
It's a mobile office. It really is.
It really is. So
it's also a health device. I mean, you have the wearable watch that's an addition to that, and that has accentuated that. But it's a health device. It's an office. It's you make memories with it. You document your life. You protect yourself with it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, my son is 12, and I even know people who started their kids out with phones at age 10, and so I think maybe he's a late bloomer, but I'm looking at my 8-year-old who's going to be 9. I'm thinking, I think he's probably going to end up with a phone sooner than that, because I want them to have these devices on them, because I mean, they can do so much as far as, scanning pictures of their homework and taking pictures of the board. And, we have some challenges with, special needs and things like that. And it's a real big, it's a tool. It really is a tool for so many people who are just really against devices. I always have to remind them that it is a tool, just like anything else. You use it to help you do things in life that you couldn't otherwise do. It's an enabling device in a good way. I mean, there's things, I run my own business off of my phone. There are times where my health gets in the way, and, or I'm directionally challenged. I have to go drive to people's homes, and I couldn't do that without being able to have a navigation device. I mean, there's so many other analog tools that this takes the place of, that makes your life that much more efficient. Now, granted, there are, like we're going to talk about when we get iOS and when we start to dig into that, you do end up spending more time on your phone, but you have to take a look at what's quality time versus what's junk food snack time, with, what the types of things that you feed your brain with. And I think that there's going to be some help for that in the future. So that's something that you have to consider. I did also put a link to the show notes in this picture.
Yep.
There is this wonderful sketch artist on Twitter. Her name's Kate Matthews, and I had to link to her because I was just so impressed with the sketch that she did during the Apple event, and then she updated it. It's got a reference for all the different phone sizes, and I just have to say, I mean, I had to go look it up because I was just amazed. I was like, how many devices does iOS 12 run on once these phones are out? And what is it, 28? I think we're at this is what iPhone, well, now that there's 3, it's hard to tell, but it's like what, iPhone 18, 19, and 20 or something. But there's like 20, where did I put that in the show notes? There's 28 different devices, including iPhones, iPads, all that stuff that this runs on. Isn't that just amazing? That it's going to be supported on all those devices. And yet, I don't think that we really can call it fragmented like Android devices are. I was just had to tell you a quick story. A family member, is trying to consolidate and had some devices, and they were like, I don't know what to do with this. What is this thing? What should I do with it? And so I said, well, the kids and I will take a look at it and make sure it doesn't have any personal information. I didn't want them to just, recycle it or something, because I had some battery things that I'm dealing with, and I'm going to haul them all off to the responsible recycling center, disposable of them. And so I took a look at this device, and it was an old Android device. It was a really old tablet. And I was like, where the heck do you even find out what you can update it to? Like, where are the specs? And I just, my blood pressure, like, I'm surprised that my Apple Watch didn't go off and tell me that my heart rate was elevated, because it was such a frustrating experience. And I'm like, this is that fragmentation. But then when you go and you look at the list of all the devices that are still out there, that you might not be able to get anything past, what is it, the iPhone 7, I think, is the last model that you can order from the Apple Store, like unlocked and outright. But you can still get the devices at the carriers and other stores and things like that. And there's going to be, for now, there's going to be supplies that are going to dwindle over time. And that's the nature of things. That's just how things are. But I'm telling you, Dave, I'm still supporting iPad 2s at my child's school. And I mean, what does it tell you? It is what it is. Not everybody can afford a brand new device.
No, nor do I expect that. I mean, believe me, it's just, I just base the decision on what Apple is still currently manufacturing. I mean, unfortunately, I mean, I know people are, I mean, you go in the aftermarket, you go on eBay, you can go on Craigslist, you can go refurbished stores. There's still going to be a ton of that inventory still out there. People still want to buy it, and that's great. I have nothing against that. But it's just the products tend to get old. I mean, even if you go to the comparison chart of all the iPhone models, I mean, Apple still shows the old models all going all the way back to the SE and the 6 and the 6 Plus. So they show the spec of it, but I mean, they're not going to be making them anymore. So
and that's to be expected.
Right. I mean, that's the thing now. If we and I'm just going to go back real quick with the specs between the Max and the 10s. You definitely have some differences as far as the camera goes. I mean, that itself, when I was just talking about my point with looking at the R versus the S or the Max, you have a huge difference in contrast ratio. You have a huge difference with the HDR display. I mean, you have a huge difference with the contrast ratio. So, I mean, if you value photography in itself and want to have a device that's not a $3,000, $2,000 DSLR, I mean, these iPhones are just amazing cameras. I mean, it's the most popular camera that's out there. You go to any website, any site that you share photos with, like Flickr or any other sites like that, I guarantee you they tell you what's the most popular camera. It's an iPhone. I mean, and that's what people do with taking photos with these. So that's what you really have to think about when you make a decision like this, as far as which phone you want to compare. Now, Apple is going to keep all the way back as far as a current model is the 7, and then it's a sad day that now there's no longer a phone that they're selling that has a headphone jack anymore. All the models, there was the 6 and older had a headphone jack. Well, these don't have them anymore. So because the 7, starting with 7, they removed it. So the other thing I'll mention too about the headphone jack, good kind of segue with it, is they're no longer going to include the adapter for a headphone jack to Lightning. because they used to include that with the 10. They're no longer going to include it with
so
the
none
new
of
models.
the 10s, the 10 Max, or the 10R are going to have the
They will not have
adapter,
you
the
have
dongle.
to spend. You have to spend the extra $9 to.
That's because everybody complained about
the
the doggles.
Yeah, well, because that's the thing, people would lose them. So
yeah, or they don't know what it's for, or they never even pulled it out of the box.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, really in itself, it's there is a lot of choices as far as what phone you can get, and be able to and make a decision as which one you want. And again, no one's like me, and not everybody wants to go out and buy the new phone every time it comes out. I understand that, and I don't
but you
expect
sell
that.
off your old one, so it's not like you're
And
just
I do.
like, oh, this is a piece of trash, So.
In my case now, because I'm in the iPhone upgrade program, I don't. I just trade it in, and then it just pays for. I just basically rented it for a year. So,
yeah, you're kind of like leasing it. So that's what's great about like the dichotomy between your use case scenarios and my use case scenarios, where you're always getting the latest thing, and that's wonderful and that's great. And of course, it contributes to the knowledge. And like I tease you, but I'm half serious when I say you're taking one for the team, and that's really important. And then on my end of things, like I'm always the one that's kind of supporting all the older devices. Like when I get a new device, I seriously have to consider the hand-me-down value, because then I pass it down to family members. And like, whereas like you're leasing them and then you're putting them back out there, and that's just fine. There's nothing that's going to waste in either one of our scenarios. And I think that's really fascinating. And speaking of waste, I wanted to if we could segue into the Green Report with Lisa Jackson. Were you excited about there's a new robot in town?
Yeah, I saw it's now up to 9 different iPhone models that it'll disassemble for
Daisy.
For recycle. Daisy,
the sister to Liam. Liam was the first robot that could take them apart. So I have to say that out of the whole, I mean, I loved, the videos and I love the creativity with the event, but I'm a hippie at heart. So I really enjoyed Lisa Jackson's Green Report. I look forward to seeing her each time that she comes out, and I really love what she has to say and what she has to report about it. It just makes you feel good about the devices that you're using and the fact that you can recycle them. And then, the fact that I live in Arizona where there's a lot of mining. And so when you hear her say things like, how many tons of tin don't have to be mined because of just one small change that they're making to the manufacturing process, I think that is just fantastic. And I think I just love that Apple really puts their money where their mouth is as far as, green technologies and, the fact that they're using all reusable energy. I just think it's really, really wonderful.
Yeah. So let's segue a little bit here into iOS 12. I guess I said I installed iOS 12 on my iPhone and my iPad.
You got a 6S and an iPad?
I have it on my X and my iPhone 10, which I currently have, and my iPad.
I thought you had a 6S that you were testing.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was on there too, yes.
Okay.
And I have that installed there and an SE. But I hadn't installed it on my 10 yet because, of course, you got my Memoji. So,
yep.
But I definitely noticed a huge difference in performance, and I've talked about this previous as far as that goes with even the older devices like the SE and the 6. It does make a difference. I definitely see it, and I'm seeing it even more with the 10. So they've really made some drastic mass improvements with that. The Animojis and the Memoji, it's fun. A lot of cool things. They've done a lot of things.
Not a deal breaker, but definitely totally fun.
The AR stuff was pretty cool, and they did that during the event. They demonstrated the Galakia, the game. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, my son got excited about that.
The home court, that was pretty awesome too. I mean, they did a demo on this app called Home Court. Basically, what it was you're able to go have someone be recorded as stars shooting basketball. It was been for basketball, and they had Steve Nash, one of the Hall of Famer NBA players, come on stage, and they were showing how this girl was shooting in different parts of the court. And you're not into sports, so it was more for you to deal with it. But
you can't see me yawning. That's okay.
Yeah, but it just was very impressive of how a $8 app because that's all it costs. You
Well,
can pay
yeah,
$8 for
I mean,
unlimited shots.
I'm married to a physicist, so yeah, I had a little bit of interest in it. So I thought that was pretty cool.
just the physics of how her accuracy was in each part of the court. So I mean,
I'm wondering what other kind of sports they're going to use it for. Like, what about gymnastics or diving or bowling or?
It'd be bowling and golf.
Bowling would be really cool, don't you think?
Yeah, we were talking about on the podcast last night that bowling would be definitely an option. I
kind of do that with my kids already. Like when we go out bowling, maybe I'm a horrible mom. I don't know, but I'll take pictures of them or I'll do like a slow-mo and then I play it back for them. I'm like, see, if you just hook it a little bit more this way.
Yeah. So, iOS 12 is here. I'm definitely seeing some. I'm definitely seeing some improvements in performance and a lot of the new features, which I'm going to start digging into and get the report back on. You can go to Apple's website. We have a link to the show notes on it as it is, and it'll give you a full list of what features there are. It is available on September 17th, which is coming up this coming Monday as we record this. So again, the Gold Master was just released yesterday for all the beta testers, and not necessarily the developers. It's also the public beta too. So it's pretty much ready to go, prime time. And I think Apple did a great job with the 12 different betas they released to make sure that this was right, because we all were not so happy with iOS 11. So. But I think they really came a long way with this, and
is
more to come.
FaceTime still pulled for the 32?
Yes, it will not be released at launch because it's a work in progress. Which I'm glad they did that, because I'd rather they do that than it be released and then it have a bad experience. So
that was a smart decision, I think.
Yeah, so there are a few things that are going to be pulled for now, and some of the health stuff on the Apple Watch is the same thing. The EKG is not going to be available at launch as well. So the eSIM that we just talked about earlier, that's not going to be available at launch either. So that's going to get released later this year. So that's what the cool thing about having the eSIM is they'll be able to launch it over a software update, as opposed to like if it's a SIM card, you got to go get one. So.
But it's health stuff, so if you don't want it done right now, you want it done right. So I'm willing to wait for that stuff. Just like I said, I'm kind of willing to wait for the glucose sensor and the oxygen sensor, and the fact that they've got the FDA approval now is going to I think it opens the doors for a lot of that stuff. So yeah,
exactly.
Lots of stuff to watch out for.
Another thing I want to talk about is Apple Care. Apple Care, they still have the Apple Care Plus that covers both the phones and the Apple Watch. They did increase the price on the Apple Watch from $49 to $79 on the new one. It's you can get also this new thing that they just added is a theft and loss plan, which is it's priced at $299. And if you think you're one that loses your phone that easily, might be something worth your while. Also for some who travels a lot, that probably wouldn't be another bad idea to do that. You can get it with the iPhone upgrade program, and they will add an additional, I think it was like $5 or $6 a month, or maybe it was like $10 a month, if you wanted to have that coverage for theft and loss.
And it's for 2 years after additional 2 years, right?
Right, because so you can pre-order it with the pre-order. I am not going to get it because I just don't see it being
your iPhone 10 is an appendage, so it's like they would have to cut off your arm to get it.
I'm very conscious of my device, my phone with me. So, but the Apple Care, and there's always been a debate on that, whether you wanted to buy it or not. If you do the iPhone upgrade program, you don't have a choice. You have to have it. At least the Apple Care Plus.
Interesting. Okay.
So when you get
that's insurance for them.
Insurance for them. So like once I go turn the phone in, if like God forbid if I had a cracked screen before I turned it in, they say, well, you're gonna have to put it in for repair first before we'll take this. Otherwise, we're not going to take it in as a trade to put it towards the re-up of the new model. So
now is that for the 10R also? So what would you be paying for?
It's a little less. It's $249 for the let me make sure.
And then there's a deductible. So that was what I put this in the show notes because I wanted to pick your brain about it, because I've heard other people say things that I kind of question. We have really good homeowners insurance, luckily, and we years ago put a rider on it for our electronics, but Now, this was years ago, and I don't know if that has changed.
Yeah, I'm not
But at the
sure.
time, it did not cover any kind of cell phones, like not even a flip phone, because I guess it's just
Right, because it's
too
mobile.
much of a liability. There's too much risk involved or something.
Mm.
So I've heard people think that they can just use their homeowner's insurance, but then, I mean, I guess you could, but then you're talking about like maybe a possible like $500 deductible. And if you get Apple Care Plus, what does that shake out to be? Are you still end up paying? I don't think you're going to end up paying $500 to replace a phone that's been
Hard to
lost or
say.
stolen or broken. Yeah.
It's like those plans that the carriers offer, and there's it's like $10 a month or $9 whatever it is.
Yeah, even
but there's a
$6 a
deductible.
month works out. Yeah, because then it's like $99, and you really have to. It's a very personal decision because only you can answer for yourself whether or not this is something that you need. You will meet people on different sides of the spectrum. Some people will say these are bunk. They're totally engineered to make money. It's complete and absolute profit, which I don't think anybody disputes that. But the people will say, well, that's why exactly I won't get it, because it is just profit,
Right.
and I don't want to give them any more money than I already have. And that's definitely a valid argument for some people. But then there are other people who this really, really does end up paying for itself because they lose it or they break it, or, and again, that goes back to, you really got to know your habits and your needs. And for a lot of people, not so many people anymore, but I remember for a while there, it was just smartphones and these slabs of glass that we're carrying around, kind of a new thing for a lot of people. More and more people are
Sure.
used to it. So maybe there's a little bit, less damage involved. But, for a while there, people just kind of had to get to know just how slippery these things were, whether or not they were going to be accident prone. So it's a very personal decision.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
then you also really have to do the math on it because, like you mentioned, there are fees that you can pay the carrier. But I looked at one a long time ago. Like I said, this was years ago. It was like $6 a month, and it did cover theft and it did cover loss. But then when you really did the math over the lifetime of owning the phone plus the deductible, it didn't work out to being a value. It didn't work out to being a deal. It ended up being that you would be better off just buying a new phone.
Right.
Because you
exactly.
end up, paying the replacement cost for a 3-4-year-old phone. So you got to look at all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm happy with the Apple Care Plus for damage. So I mean it's the normal warranty plus if there's you break the screen. It's definitely come in handy many times for me. So, but anyway, I just wanted to also we didn't review any of the colors for the phones when as we come down to a close here. The 10s and the 10s Max will come in as silver, space gray, and gold. The 10R, which is going to be a little more fun with colors, is coming in black and white and blue and coral and yellow and product red. So you will have lots of great.
I'm gonna have to have some words with Sir Johnny Ive because I cannot understand for the life of me why there is a yellow and there is no purple. Let it be known.
I'll tell you. I know
knew
you're the
I'd be
purple
upset
fan.
about that.
I know you're the purple fan.
I'm gonna put a purple
so
case on it anyway, but still.
So you'll have to buy a new case too. So
yeah,
especially because I don't have a choice because the phone's gonna be bigger for me. So, but I think we covered everything that was announced. The iPhones, the different displays. They are going to continue to ship the phone with the 5-watt power adapter, which is annoying. Then there will be some cases.
What would you rather see them?
Oh, I mean, I'd like to see like a 10 or 12 because it'll charge a little faster. So, and again, we talked about pricing. It's going to be the most expensive. The most expensive one is going to be the 10s Max. If you were to max it out at the space, which we didn't even talk about, they're not going to have it at 64 gigs, 256 gigs, and 512 gigs. That's going to be the most expentive phone at $1449 for a 10s Max, and their water. They've added a little more enhancements for water and dust resistance and the colors, and I'm just going on and on all the stuff they talked about. It's just we did mention the T-Mobile and the 600 megahertz LTE spectrum is going to be iPhones are to be the first phone to support that, so it's going to improve LTE performance.
They did announce at the end a little bit of love for HomePod. There's an update coming available.
That.
Yeah,
because I forgot about that. Mm-hmm.
They did mention a while ago stereo pairing is going to be available, or it's now available. I guess you can do that. AirPlay 2 has been out for a little bit of time, but with the update coming out, I guess there's going to be a HomePod update coming. But you're now going to be able to search for songs by lyrics, create multiple timers. Oh my gosh, everybody's been waiting for that. I mean, people that are cooking and, got their hands dirty and stuff. And you can make and receive phone calls from your HomePod coming up. And then I think what's really going to be awesome. I can make phone calls
now because I've used it. Yep,
okay, so that's available now, but you did announce that at the end. So receiving is new. Okay. And you're going to be able to use your HomePod to ping your devices and help locate them using Find My iPhone. Yep.
Oh yeah. It definitely has some. I'm going on my iPhone here now to see if the update has gone through yet, because I did add it, and for some reason it's not finding it yet. So it hasn't updated as of yet. But it's going to be iOS 12 for HomePod, and yes, they're going to add some neat new features with what it can do. And yes, definitely exciting about that. And tvOS is going to get its updates. I didn't see a lot of major things with that as far as
it was like I didn't really put a whole lot in because it was 4K and I don't have a 4K, and you're gonna get Dolby. Okay, that's nice. Enjoy that. Again,
I would say it's not something that you would utilize. So, and then on the side note, Mac OS Mojave will be out on the 24th of September. All the other OSs are being released on the 17th. So it's
lots of stuff coming down.
We have just talked about lots of stuff in the short period of time we've had here. It just crazy.
We got it in under an hour too.
I know. It just it was a lot of fun. I mean, I really enjoy these events. I always take the day off because I was going to try to only take a half day of work, but I decided, I'm going to
come on, it's a holiday.
Enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy it, and I thought, I was kind of quote Kelly Gaumont, who was on Mac Break Weekly, believe it or not. We, her and I talked about it last night during the Mac Voices session too. That it just seems like they crammed a lot of things in there because they wanted to keep it in 90 minutes because there was a lot of repetitiveness. They did repeat a lot of things. They had a lot of videos. People were getting a little bored with stuff, and some people are not into the gaming and talking about a lot of this stuff. So. It just seemed like with the whole event in itself, they were really trying to do filler because they knew they weren't going to announce the new iPads or any other
Mac Minis or anything like that.
So they really kind of I just felt that they did kind of push a lot of things in there. So and peppered it. So, but anyway,
hey, they're really good at advertising. So.
All right, so let's wrap hers up here.
Yeah, and, let's put a bow on it.
All right, thanks for listening, and we hope that you got more in touch with iOS after hearing this episode. Subscribe to our podcast in your favorite podcatcher, and show your friends how to find us on Apple Podcasts, on the Google Podcasts. We have a link for that now, and Stitcher Radio, and Spotify, and TuneIn Radio. Oh no, TuneIn Radio. You couldn't get that with the work, but there's all kinds of ways to listen to us. But be sure that you go to our website and you'll be able to hear any way you want to hear us. And if you want to send us any email, you can send an email and comments to us at feedback@intouchwithios.com. And you also can go to our website, intouchwithios.com, and click on the contact. Simply add a comment or to the show notes. And we look forward to bringing you more useful information in future episodes. And I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me at DaveG65 on the Twitter.
And I'm Melissa Davis, and you can find me online all over at the Mac Mommy. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.